So I just got my decision for Cornell University and I'm about to open it. I am so scared. I want to get in, but I'm probably not. Anyway, so I'm screen recording and I'm so scared. Okay, I'm lagging in. Okay, new updates to your application were posted. Stop. If it says, oh my god! Josiane, I got it! Is she crying? I'm not crying, but I want to. Oh my gosh! I got it, Josiane! It says congratulations on your acceptance to Cornell University. Oh my gosh, I got in.
Are you gonna go?
Josiane, like, if I don't get any money, I can't go. Oh my gosh, I got into Cornell University. Oh my gosh, Josiane, I can't believe I got in. You didn't answer, I'm going to call Uncle Claude. Uncle Claude.
Hey, Jordan.
Guess what?
What?
I just got into an Ivy League school!
Oh, you got into what?
Ivy League!
Ivy League? What is that?
Never mind.
I need to know.
I got accepted into Cornell University.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, Jordan, you know you got it. Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Joanne and I have decided to dedicate this channel to academic success, growing academically, study life, and organization when it comes to academics. I am going into my third year of college. I am a pre-physician assistant student. I will most likely make videos about that in the future, but right now I'm just here to talk about how I got into my dream school, which is Cornell University. So from the title, you can tell that I started off at community college and I attended community college for 2 years. I'm just gonna go over my stats, what I did, how I applied, and possibly give tips on how you can apply and get in. I posted that I got into Cornell on my Twitter and I got overwhelmingly positive feedback, and more than 30 people actually DM'd me and asking me how I did it. So I know this can help someone out there who's in community college who's looking to transfer to a top university. So just a quick background. I went to community college because of my financial situation. Of course, at first I hated it because I felt like I did not need to be there. Actually, after taking advantage of the resources and actually getting involved in campus life, it was an amazing experience. Just a disclaimer, I do not think that my stats are perfect. They're actually very far from perfect. I don't want these stats to discourage you if you're looking to apply to a top university. I feel like if you want to go to a school and you have a passion for it, by all means go ahead. I know when I used to watch videos on other people's stats, I used to be like, oh my gosh, she has a 4.0. I could never get in, but I got in. So I don't want this to discourage you if you may not have the stats that I have, but I wanted to instead encourage you to work towards your goal, and even if the odds are low, you should still apply. So at the time of my application, I had a 3.75 GPA, which isn't really all that great when you're considering everybody else that got in. I know there are hundreds of people, if not thousands, that got rejected with a 4.0, so I don't really know what about my application that was good. My extracurriculars in school included being a part of the student government, which is the student senate. I was a student senator. I was also the chairwoman of the Multicultural and Diversity Committee. I was a part of the campus activity boards, which was in charge of planning events on campus. I also volunteered in school. So outside of school, I worked as a physical therapy technician in an underserved area. I worked in Washington, D.C., which is an area known for a lot of health disparities. Overall, it's just an underserved area in regards to medicine and healthcare. I worked at another hospital serving food to patients. I would deliver their lunch and dinner, and I worked at that hospital delivering patient trays for about 2 years. I volunteered in the emergency room, and I actually just started volunteering in the NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care unit, and I also included my volunteer experience working as a nurse's assistant in high school. So now that I've talked about my stats, I kind of want to talk about what I think kind of strengthened my application. So my advice is to focus on your passion. So my passions include healthcare, advocacy, and community service, and your passions could be totally different, but what I decided to focus on was healthcare and community service. It's really important when you're applying to not seem like the jack of all trades where you're just doing everything but they're not really connected to each other. So a lot of people want to get involved in everything, like every single club. They'll be like, oh, I want to do this, and that, but if they're not really connected, the colleges can kind of see through that and they're like, okay, so you just wanted extracurriculars but they have no meaning to you. So you kind of want to make sure that everything is connected in some way so that the people reviewing your application can see, okay, she or he is really invested in whatever you're invested in. Another piece of advice I have is to just focus on schools that align with your goals and your missions. So every school should have a mission statement. You read the mission statement, you look at the majors that they have to offer, and you see what aligns with what you want to do. There are a bunch of top schools around me that I could have applied to, such as Georgetown. I live about 30 minutes away from Georgetown University, but I looked at the majors that they had and they didn't really align with what I wanted. For me, I love human biology. I don't really care for botany, zoology, chemistry, physics. Like, I kind of just really care about human biology. And I also have a passion for healthcare, so I was looking for a major, a school that had my major that focused on that. That is how I stumbled upon Cornell University, which I feel like was a perfect fit for me. They have a human biology, health and society major that ties in human biology with public health. So when you're applying to schools, don't just look at the name per se, but look to see if their mission and their major matches up with what you want to do. I think it is a lot easier to succeed at a university or a college if you are passionate about what you're learning. So when you find a school that you're looking towards applying to, you kind of want to check their prerequisites. I feel like most schools for transfer students, I feel like they have certain requirements that you have to meet. When I was applying to USC, they had a few requirements. They said that they prefer if you have all of your gen eds completed and a few science courses if you're a science major. For Cornell, they had actually a list of certain classes that you had to take, which included 1 year of biology, 1 year of chemistry, statistics, psychology, and a bunch of other classes, which I'll probably leave here. So I made sure to do those. Let's face it, if you do not meet the minimum requirements, they will probably not look at your application. Some schools actually require supplemental writing or separate essays, and some schools require you to send your SAT and ACT scores. Luckily, Cornell did not require that for my major, but other schools might, so you want to look into that as well. Another thing to keep in mind is that the acceptance rate for transfer students is generally lower. Schools like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, MIT, Caltech, Johns Hopkins, they just about have 1 or 2% acceptance rate. So to me, it was kind of a bad trade-off. You know, just looking at my stats, I felt like applying to a school with a 1% acceptance rate was not really the smartest decision. On the other side of the coin, schools like UC Berkeley, UCLA, USC, and Cornell University have higher acceptance rate. UC Berkeley has close to a 30% acceptance rate, and Cornell has a 15% acceptance rate. So you can kind of weigh the pros and cons of applying to a certain school. To me, I personally would not apply to Harvard just because the chances of me getting in are very slim to none, whereas the chances of me applying to UCLA or USC or Cornell was much higher. So I felt like I was kind of investing my time in something that I actually had a chance of getting into. Something important that I kind of did by accident, I didn't necessarily mean to, but I built a very close connection with an advisor. And because I built a relationship with her over my 2 years at my school, she was able to write a very strong letter of recommendation. Letters of recommendation are very important because you can spend all your time on your applications bragging about how you have a super high GPA and you're involved in this organization, but at the end of the day, how do other people perceive you? It's very important how other people perceive you as well. You can have the best GPA and you can have community service hours and you can be involved in student organizations, but if you have a weak letter of recommendation, that either means that you're probably not the best student to work with in terms of like personality, or maybe you just did not get to know the faculty, advisors, and staff at your school. I think that is super important. Please, I'm not saying to kiss up to teachers, but try to look for meaningful relationships with your advisors. And lastly, of course, I kind of didn't want to say this at first because I feel like it's really obvious, but I feel like it's very important to get good grades. Obviously, it's a top university and they're going to weigh the GPA very highly. Even though we'd all hate for it to be about GPA and numbers, GPA is very important. At the time of my application, I did not even think I was going to get in because to me, a 3.75 is kind of on the lower side when applying to an Ivy League. I'm not saying a 3.75 GPA is low. I'm just saying in comparison to other people, just the stats of people who got in, 3.75 was on the lower side. Really try to minimize how many B's and C's you get. If you do have B's and C's, please do not count yourself out. You still have a great shot at getting in if you show inside your essays that you're very dedicated and you have really strong letters of recommendation. So that is just how I think I got into Cornell University. I'm not really sure, but these are the things that I did and my stats. So I kind of started my channel again just because I have a new passion and I kind of want to make videos about what I'm passionate about. Currently, that is getting into PA school. But for today, that is it. I thank you so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please make sure to give me a thumbs up if this helped or if you like this. If you didn't, make sure to subscribe if you want to see more content and make sure to leave a comment below. Okay, bye.